I think like the Vivek stuff, or Vivek, whatever.
It's okay.
The like strength that we're seeing, like I think Crowder crowned him the victory and stuff like that. Like that's just relative to the cloud of gloom that he's standing in front of with DeSantis. Like I don't
totally
think, because like I mean,
it's all relative, Matt. Right?
You have this polling thing, right? Like some pollster had like Independence was polling them live, and they're talking, and they have this polling on this moment where he calls climate change a hoax. And the thing about this whole thing is like it looks like the strong thing, but actually when you parse it, he's being a pussy, because he goes on to Twitter and quote tweets Joe Biden, said climate change is real, by the way. He said the climate change agenda is a hoax.
He said that during this thing.
Exactly. And it's like, you can't just like that.
I agree that was a weak moment for him. But I think overall, when he's taking the maximalist positions on Ukraine or on what else? I forget what.
Climate change.
Yeah.
Pardoning Trump.
I think that is more of what appeals to a Republican voter than being, scared to say anything controversial.
Yeah. But here's what the independent voters reacted to his climate change thing. The yellow line here is the female line, and then the green line is male, and the gray line is the total for independents.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is, more people are dying of
men still kind of there with him
policies than they are of actual climate change.
Yeah. But if you're not really trying to be president, you can do that.
Right.
Because other guys are worried about winning in the general election, and they're not going to act in that manner that appeals to, the most insane Republicans that are going to vote for them.
Just to clarify, people are a bit confused. Those lines are connected to dials that they give voters. And when the voters feel happy about something, they crank those to the happy side. And when they're not happy about it, they crank them to the not happy side. And so that what you saw was them cranking it to the not happy side. I'd be curious to see what the Republican knobs were doing there too, actually.
Yeah, but it is also, I think that dynamic is exactly where the Republican Party is at right now, which is that you can't differentiate yourself without being a total lunatic in the primary, but then you also can't win over independents and anybody that you would need to win the presidency in the general. And that tension is exactly what the Republican Party deserves after doing this for decades and decades, appealing to the base, going as hard as possible into hate as a mask for their tax cuts for the wealthy. And now we're just at one of the natural endpoints of that strategy, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I guess I'm just that smart. No one has anything to add.
You are. I mean, that's really.
Kanye will be looking at someone that saved the Jews.
I mean, that's the thing, though, right? Like exactly that. Like that. Watching that debate last night, it was like, we know where all these people stand. We know who they are. The one that stood out the most, though, was Vivek, because of how he was acting and what he was saying on the stage. A bit more forward than the rest of the primary candidates on the stage, because they're trying to like toe that weird line, like Ron DeSantis isn't an online guy. The people he hired to run his campaign are. So he's not really married to any of this. He'll just do whatever it takes to win. Where it seems like more and more Vivek is actually an online guy, like the way he's going on TV and questioning what went down on 9/11 in the year 2023. And he's out there calling climate change a hoax. Like I think this is the guy who he won't be able to turn things around if he needs to readjust and pivot, because he's went this way. Like there's an old clip that showed up of him saying how climate change is a problem from the beginning of his campaign earlier this year. Do we want to play that? Because I think that does show that he's someone whose views have changed, but I also think That's because earlier this year, the online right was in a much different place. Like, this dude is just going with where the online right
Yes.
is taking him, and he's not going to flip-flop in a different direction unless the online right as a whole does the same.
Right.
Climate change agenda is a hoax. Climate change is also real. I'm not denying the underlying reality that global surface temperatures are going up, and in part due to human activity. Climate change.
Now, exactly, and I think like that previous argument he's making, and kind of what he did last night, the way he's sort of finessing it is that, okay, fine, we're burning the planet, but the agenda around it, the politics around it, is a hoax. It's kind of like Tim Pool with the old abortion thing.
Yeah.
It's like, look, the real thing is horrible, and it's actually like reflects pretty poorly on how the society is structured.
Right.
But people are really overreacting about it.
And the overreaction is the hoax, not
That's the real
actual-
problem
Yeah.
we got to address.
Yeah, silly.
I'm surprised he didn't go into like IMF, like deep growth conspiracy theories.
Yeah, maybe that's
what
next.
that's the agenda that he.
Well, they're
needs.
not. He's not going to be degrowth. I mean, that guy's a hedge fund
of course
healthcare
not.
freak. So he wants as much growth of his like investment portfolio as humanly possible. That's probably why, in part, why he's running.
Right. I mean, this sort of shows, I think, how the more extreme factions on the right, the online right, have moved over just this past year. Like, this is, they no longer can, say that climate change is not happening because just look around you. So now it's either one of two things. It's either, oh, it's happening, but we're not doing anything. So we just got to, ride it out. We're going along for the ride. We have nothing to do with it. And then there's people who are like, yeah, there are things we could do about it, but not anything that's currently going on. When it's all wrong. My way is different.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Matthew Gertz has a good short senior fellow at Media Matters for America. How populist entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy got rich? One, found a biotech firm with hedge fund / venture capital. I mean, this is all after he got the Soros money to go to Yale. 2, buy patent for Alzheimer's drug that had failed 4 trials, raise more money to take it to the market. 3, take company public, cash out. And 4, the drug fails the 5th trial, investors are wiped out. Pump and dump.
Great. So what an ethical person. Demian, I think Vivek's strongest quality is seeing people out the trail. Agreed. Lawful waffle. Matt, it's Vivek rhymes with cake. It's not Vivek, which rhymes with Matt Leck. So tune into the next debate. We'll have some fun. We'll see you out the debate.
Vivek, who cares? I mean,
He's not going to be president. That's
yeah.
The people with that name that I respect, I'll go by Vivek. So,
But what is
people? I saw people say like, really what, and I think we mentioned it earlier too. Like, oh, what we're really watching here is like people vying to be Trump's vice president. But like, let's be honest. Let's say throughout this primary, Vivek ends up in the number 2 position time and time again. Can you really picture Trump picking that guy to be his vice president? I mean,
none of them are going to be his vice president.
Never.
None of
Never.
them.
none?
He's not
Maybe
going to
Kristi Noem.
oh yeah, no.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Kanye is the real choice. Kanye is the sleeper. Like, everyone on that stage looked like a loser. They looked like a loser because like Trump wasn't there, just like that one debate back in 2016, and yet he still won. The absence of Trump spoke louder than Trump being there did.
Yeah. Agreed.
I still think my favorite moment, I don't know if we're going to talk anymore about the debates. I just want to fit this in here. My favorite moment is still them asking the people on the stage while they're standing up there with Mike Pence whether they think Mike Pence should have been hung on January 6th.
Yes, that was good.